We have finally did it. And to be honest with you, I think it was the right time. For you that may not know, or that may have been living under a rock, or wherever you was at, James Harden has been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, to my Cleveland Cavaliers, for Darius Garland in a second-round pick. Now, me being a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, my first reaction was, oh no. You know, given that what Darius Garland brought to the table, given him what he's did for this organization, you know, being part of the change of this organization post LeBron, you know, I just hated to see him go. You know, given him what he meant to this organization, he was one of our core pieces, looking to build around him for the future, but clearly he had other plans. But another thing, my second reaction after I thought about it a little bit was, it's really not that bad. You know, it's not too much of a drop off. I will say, it definitely was time to break up that backcourt, given that it was such a defensive liability. Not saying that James Harden is going to bring, you know, defensive presence, because that's just not who he is. You know, so they're basically what and what defensively. But I do think it adds a little bit more size, which helps with some of the matchups. You get what I'm saying? Given that Darius Garland was 6'2" and Donovan Mitchell was 6'3", it kind of hurt us in some matchups, you know, given on the size difference, especially when we're living in an era of the big point guards, of having to go against, you know, Lukas and Shays and, you know, basically the big point guards of the league. You know, it definitely hurt us, you know, going against Tyrese Halliburton last season. It definitely hurt us, the size and the lack of, you know, defensive presence. Now, we don't get no much better with James Harden, but I do think he adds a little bit more, you know, size, you know, to the backcourt. But it's still the same defensively, but I do think it moves the needle up just a little bit. You get what I'm saying? But outside of that, offensively, I do think it's going to open the game up way more for pretty much anybody that's on the court with him. You know, and it's definitely going to open the game up for Allen and Mobley, given that James Harden is such a drive threat and, you know, basically draws double teams and brings so much attention when he drives to the basket. It's going to open up for those backdoor lobs. It's definitely going to open up for the pick and roll, you know, and once again, another backdoor lob. Like, it's just going to open the game up for everybody. You know, Donovan Mitchell, he doesn't have to score as much, or we don't have to depend on Donovan Mitchell to score as much, given that James Harden is pretty much a walking bucket. Like, that's one thing I ain't worried is James Harden putting the ball in the basket. Now, when it comes to playoff time, that's another story, which I do think he will still help us in playoff time, given that it's pretty much, it's now or never, you know, for James Harden. So hopefully, when it comes to playoff time, he's ready to suit up and ready to play, which I think he will be, but we'll see. But yeah, it will take some of the pressure off of Donovan Mitchell to not score as much, given on pretty much this season, the season before this, the season before that. I will say last season, we started to become more team oriented, but this season it seems like we're reverting back to, you know, Donovan Mitchell having to score 30 points just to give us a chance. Last season it wasn't really like that. You know, everybody was scoring 15 to 20 a game. You know, we'll have Garland go off one game, Mobley go off another, Allen go off another, or maybe just all around team win. But this season it's more of how we were 2 years ago when we first got Donovan Mitchell, where he has to score 40 points in order for us to even stay in the game. Given that Garland has missed time, Mobley's missed some time. We've been dinged up here and there. Strus hasn't been, playing. He hasn't been in the lineup. Hopefully, when he comes back, he can give us a spark plug, which I think he will be. But I just think all around, offensively, it just opens the game up for everybody. It takes pretty much the pressure off of everybody offensively, because that's one thing. Now, I know a lot of people knock James Harden of not playing defense, or when it comes to playoff time, not showing up, or just whatever. Him moving teams, him not being happy wherever he goes. But one thing you can't say is when he's on the court and he's playing, that he doesn't impact the game, especially offensively. And he doesn't open the game up for everybody else. Giving everybody else, more easier shots because of how big of a threat he is. Now, he's not the same 2018 MVP, but there's still some flashes in that you can see. Scoring is like second nature now, basically. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table, which we all know what James Harden brings to the table, especially now he has Donovan Mitchell. He's going to take that back seat role like he did with the Nets, or like he did with the 76ers, where he's not really the most dominant player, or what he did with the Clippers, his stint with the Clippers. He's not going to be he's ball dominant, but he's not going to be putting up 30 points a game. He's going to take more of a backseat role. That's what I see. Given that, because that's usually what James Harden does. When he comes to a new team, he usually takes the backseat role, unless he goes to a team where he has to become the number one option. But yeah, that's usually what James Harden does, is take the backseat role and let whoever was there before him cook. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, I do think that it's a 50-50 trade. I don't think we got too much of a drop off. One thing you can say is that, we lost some youth. But to be honest with you, Darius Garland hasn't been available these past few seasons, which is one of the reasons I think that, we decided to move on from him. Which is, the best ability is availability. If you're not available, then what are you bringing to the table? You get what I'm saying? So I could see why we would want to move on. I just hate to see that, given him what he brought to this franchise. He was one of the first players, or he was part of the original group post LeBron. He was one of the first players we drafted for our core post LeBron. You get what I'm saying? And he was the last man standing, and now he's, he's in LA. I'm sure he's gonna live it up. For the Clippers, I'm sure they got him one. If you're a Clipper fan out there, just know that you got one. You get what I'm saying? I know the injury, the injuries may aggravate y'all or whatnot, but when he's on the court, he's definitely going to impact the game. Because I know he's been battling this little toe injury, but I think once he gets that healed up, he's going to get right back to all-star. You get what I'm saying? Like he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. One of the most premium guards in the league. He can definitely get back to that. Which is why I kind of thought that if we did get rid of him, we were going to get more, rather than just a straight up James Harden for Darius Garland trade. But maybe there wasn't nothing out there in the market for him. But yeah, man, I like this trade, for both sides. But speaking from Cleveland fan point of view, I like this trade because it pretty much takes the pressure off of everybody. you know, of not, especially Donovan Mitchell, of not having to score 50 points, you know, of not having to score 50 points just for us to stay in the game or to win by 1 point. You get what I'm saying? We can kind of have that little duo. One question mark I do have though is how well are they going to play each other? Like, is it going to be an instant click, or is it going to be like how long is it going to take for them to click? You know, until we get to see their full form versus each other. That's one question I do have though, is how well are they going to cope with each other? But like I said, James Harden, everywhere he's went, he's pretty much played well with the other star that he's went to. You get what I'm saying? Because like I said, he's the ultimate backseat player. You know, like, he doesn't come to a team and instantly takes over. You get what I'm saying? He likes to let the star that was already there, or the people that were already there, he likes to let them, you know, move around or continue doing what they were doing. He just likes to fit in, almost like a Kevin Durant, for example. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video. We'll see. I think as far as the regular season, we're still going to continue on a right trajectory. We've been winning this last month, 2 months. You know, we've been on a roll. I think, especially with this trade, I don't think this trade is going to slow down our momentum. I think the biggest thing is, first, of how well they're going to fit with each other, but also when it comes playoff time, what James Harden are we going to get? Are we going to get, I'm trying to win a ring, James Harden, or are we going to get, oh, I'm just chilling tonight, James Harden? Which one are we getting? Like, how we doing? Get what I'm saying? I think that's just the biggest thing, but only time will tell, as they say. But that's pretty much all I got for this video. I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Did you do it?